Well,
we had to schedule them in. So one night a month.
Yeah,
there's a conflict.
They can be borderline anarchist. So the fact that we're structured here and there's officers and board members, I'm kidding. They're a bunch of good people.
Yeah, they're good. Well, it is straight up 7:00. I think I'll go ahead and get the meeting started. Do you have to do anything before we roll, Jason?
Let me see here. Well, I guess I should do this.
Where is he?
It's not up here. I couldn't find it.
Let me make sure we have everyone in here.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, Don.
Ed Dunphy sent me a ham radio Christmas video, which was really cool. And if I could figure out how to share it, we have the time, I think it would be fun for everybody.
Sure, we can do that after the presentation. So as soon as I'm live, I'll take control and get this baby rolling. But that's good, Don. Thank you. We'll do that after Jim's presentation. We're going to go with Jim's presentation first.
Okay.
Yeah, you're ready to go, Frank.
Okay, we're live?
We're live.
Okay, excellent. So, welcome to the Vaca Valley Radio Club club meeting this December 2020, everyone. Good to have you here with us live on Zoom and, of course, on YouTube if you're tuning in. This is kind of a little bit of a sad meeting, just because it's exciting because of our guests, but it's sad because this is normally our Christmas party night. This is usually the night that we're eating at some really amazing food establishment and, breaking some bread and fellowshipping. So a little bit sad, but at least we still get together. So maybe next year. Well, I think what we'll do is even though we don't have a flag here, we normally do start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And so there we go. Thank you, Jason. The production team over here at the Vaca Valley Radio Club and Ham Radio TV facilities is pretty fantastic, as you can see. So with that, if everybody would go ahead and put their hand over their heart, I'll go ahead and lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. And thank you to Ham Radio TV for the amazing production. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. So we have a very special guest with us tonight. And Club, what we're going to do is we're going to allow him to give a presentation to us first so that we are respectful of his time. And after his presentation, it'll be open up some general comments, Q&A, that kind of a thing for a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and cover a few club matters that do need to be covered. Just a couple, nothing really. In fact, really just one thing that I can think of. But we'll see if there's something I'm forgetting. And then after that, we'll just open it up to a little bit of general fellowship for a while. And then we'll call it a night, if that all sounds good to everyone. So with that, we do have a special guest with us this evening. We have with us Jim Siemens. And maybe we could, the Ham Radio TV can bring up Jim and make him on the spotlight or something for us here. Can you do that, Jason? Make him the spotlight video?
He should be spotted.
It's not spotting for me, but I'll trust that it is for others. Does everybody else just see Jim?
Just click on speaker view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up on the top right.
Now I see you because you're speaking, Bruce. There we go. Now we got Jim.
Right.
Excellent.
Now he is.
Okay, so everybody welcome Jim Siemens. Jim Siemens is with ARRL, and his call sign is Whiskey 6 Lima Kilo W6LK. He's currently in Pittsburgh, California, but home base is Walnut Creek. And he's our special guest this evening, and he has a little presentation for us, which we're very grateful for. So with no further ado, Jim, take it away. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you so much, Frank. I really appreciate it. And Jason, thanks for reaching out. And the Vaca Valley Radio Club, I have to say, so the last 2 years, I've come out to your field day site And you guys put on one of the most fantastic field days within our section, and I'm certainly without our section. You put up one of the finest field days that anyone's going to find anywhere. Lots of fun. Everyone's having a good time. You feed everyone. You take care of everyone. Everyone's encouraged to put up nice stations, and so I just want to begin with that just by saying what an honor it was to come and visit with you guys and hang out with you, because you're as nice and hospitable as hams could be to each other, and I really always appreciated your graciousness for letting me kind of come in and be one of the boys for a little bit. So I appreciate that very much. But with going on, I'm Jim, W6LK, Whiskey 6 Lima Kilo. I'm your East Bay section manager, and we have kind of a cool section, right? Because we only have 4 counties. We have Napa, Solano, Contra Costa, and Alameda counties, and that's all that makes up our section. So geographically, it's one of the smallest sections, but we have a lot of hams that live within our borders, which is really, really super cool. And so we're a pretty dynamic section. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we always seem to have some sort of disaster, a fire or something like that that's going on, and you guys know all about that. And there's, if it's not that, it's a flood. If it's not that, it's reservoir's gonna bust, or so who knows? But it's and then we got COVID. But you guys have done something really extraordinary, and there's a couple of things. I think what a section manager first and foremost ought to do. A section manager is here to help any and all amateurs within their section. But I think to get the biggest bang for the buck, to help the most amount of people, a section manager should be there to support the clubs in the section, because the clubs reach out to reach all the members. And I think every good ham ought to belong to one or more local clubs. That's kind of my feeling, and maybe it's a special interest kind of club, maybe it's a general interest kind of club, but just to for the fellowship, for the camaraderie, for the technical expertise, the training, I think a local club is really important. And your club, in particular, has really stepped up and done something pretty great. You filled out a big, long form. You met a whole bunch of criteria. And the Vaca Valley Radio Club, has been awarded or presented the Special Service Club. So you get a kind of a cool banner. You can see that. So that you can hang that up at field day.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Isn't that cool?
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really fantastic.
I am blown away.
Not a lot of clubs in the country are special service clubs. There really, really are not a lot. It's, a handful of really big clubs, but it really doesn't even take the biggest clubs to do it. It takes clubs that are super engaged, helping their communities, helping the hams in their area. And you guys really ticked off those boxes. So along with this came a letter, and if you don't mind, I'd like to read it. Now, this had to be approved by myself, but more specifically, it had to be approved by the division director. And I will let you know that this was actually one of the last things that the division director, Jim Teamstra, K6JT, did before he passed away.
Okay.
So if that kind of means something.
It does.
So that's, poor Jim. Anyway, it says here, amateur radio clubs and societies have a long history of affiliating themselves with ARL and for the betterment of amateur radio. The ARL Special Service Clubs have traditionally been ground engaged when it comes to promoting amateur radio and serving their communities. It is you, the Special Service Clubs, who really drive the ARL programs in the field. The ARL and its board of directors wish to recognize all of our special service clubs with this handsome pennant that you can proudly display at your club meetings and public events. It is our way of saying thank you for going that extra mile and being the face of ham radio in your community. 7-3 Bart Yonke, W9JJ. And Bart Yonke is the radio sport and field services manager. But so Jim Teamster had to do this. It goes all the way up to the complete board at ARL headquarters, and then I was. They called me up and they said, "Hey Jim, would you like to present this personally?" And I said, "Well, personally or virtually, whatever they want to do, I'll be there because it's pretty awesome." So I want to show that again because I think that's pretty cool. Congratulations to all of you. That's a lot of hard work.
So much. Thank you so much, Jim. And wow, guys, I'm blown away. I am just blown away. You know what? I mean, this is a real testament. Yes, this is a real testament to first of all, just the fact that ARRL even just so gracious of you guys. Thank you so much, Jim. And I tell you, boy, how proud we are of our club to have this happen. And the people that year after year have really in the club, who have taken the time to really make sure field day happens and contribute and show up and support it. My goodness, I couldn't be more proud. I'm blown away by this. I'm just blown away. This is a surprise to me. Who knew about this, Jim? Who knew about this in our club? Jason?
There may be one person, but
Bruce?
There's at least three.
Gavin?
No, I submitted the application for the club, Frank.
Oh, okay. Well, goodness gracious. What a cool thing. I mean, that was really, really cool. I'm excited to get that pennant from you. How are we going to get that from you, Jim? You going to mail it?
I'll put it in the mail to you tomorrow.
Oh, thank you so much.
There's also one other thing I would like to do is that I'd like to give away a I don't know, how about an ARL handbook?
Ooh,
I'd like to give that away, and then I'll let you figure out a way to draw in it. You can give everyone a number and do a I don't know, how about an ARL? What was that?
I didn't hear
that.
That was an echo. I got it canceled.
Oh, good job. Man, Ham Radio TV is on it.
There you go. All right. So you can assign everyone a number perhaps, and then you can use randomizer online, pick a number, and let me know who won. Give me their address, and I'll ship that out tomorrow to the person as well. But I think you need. This is the time of giving, right? This is
yes.
So one more gift, Secret Santa.
Awesome.
Would be so bad, right?
Awesome.
Now, Jim, to try to keep things a little simple, I work in Pittsburgh, so if need be, next week I could transport any items you want just to save a little postage.
You work in Pittsburgh?
I work in Pittsburgh, live in Vacaville.
No way.
Yeah. So we could rendezvous and save some shipping because I know those handbooks are quite nice and quite heavy.
Well, maybe I wouldn't want this beautiful pennant lost in the mail either. So maybe that would be kind of cool, and maybe you can even show it up on your YouTube channel too. Give it a little more promotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be acceptable?
Well, yeah, we're gonna have a special on just yourself next Wednesday.
Well, there you go. Well, but we're going to scoop it right now a little bit. Oh, was there a question?
Oh, he's showing his handbook.
They're pretty big.
They're pretty big. That's
nice. Right. Good stuff.
It's all in there.
It's keying out, Bruce.
Okay, let me fix it.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Well, let's do this now. Since we have Jim with us, if there's anyone that might have, anything for Jim, any questions, thoughts, he is our East Bay section manager. So if, any ARRL questions for him or anything like that, anybody want to chime in?
Yeah, I've got one.
There you go, Don.
Hi. We were on the repeater this afternoon. One of the repeaters, Jason, you were on there, and somebody asked about there's a 10-meter contest this weekend, and maybe you could give us a little explanation of what's going on.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I can look that up here in a second, but I'm not specifically aware of a 10-meter contest. I actually am visiting a couple of more clubs this weekend and virtually. And also our new division director, Kristen McIntyre, K6WX, is having a meeting, which I think all of you, at least that are ARL members, may have been invited to attend a meeting of the whole division. I don't know. I don't think that's ever been done in the Pacific Division. So, what is the Pacific Division? The Pacific Division is all of Northern California, the state of Nevada, and Hawaii, and all the rest of the American-controlled islands in the Pacific. So that's the Pacific Division. And so there's an all-hands meeting. So I'm going to be pretty ensconced in that this weekend. But let me look that up. I love 10-meter contests. That's pretty great. But that was off my radar, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
I can help out a little bit. So it'll be 10 meters. It'll be Saturday, Sunday. It is both phone as well as CW. And, it's the typical phone is 1 point, CW is 2 points. And the idea is just it's a worldwide contest on 10 meters. And lately, I must say, 10 and 15 meters has been really looking good. So there's been some sunspot activity. And who knows, maybe you'll hear Australia on 10 meters. I know it's been a lot of years, but it just might happen, especially on a contest weekend.
Wow, it's been a long time since you can hear Australia.
Yeah.
On 10 meters. So that's really cool. And guys, just so you know, if you didn't notice, the professor KK6BXP put the link in the chat here on this Zoom to that particular event on the ARRL website. So if you go into the chat, you want to learn more, KK6BXP put the link in there. Hey, how about anything else for Jim? Anyone?
I have a question. Recently the FCC has been talking about increasing the cost. How is that going for us? Do you have any updates?
I do not have. Well, okay. A couple of things on this is that clearly the ARL is opposed to it. They've asked for all hams to chime in. I've done that. I've written in my little East Bay section newsletter to write in and oppose it. And there's a number of reasons to oppose it, I think. But this is not a for-profit kind of enterprise. What we're doing, it's something that the vast majority of what we're doing is really giving back to folks, or we're educating folks. And these are all things that are decidedly good for our communities, good for our nation. So putting costs on getting your license initially, renewing your license. And folks, if you haven't heard about this, what the idea is that every time you try to take a license, you'll have to pay a $50 fee to the FCC. Every time it's time for renewal, every 10 years, you'll need to pay $50 to the FCC. If you want to change your call sign, pay another $50 to the FCC. If you really want a paper copy of your license, pay another $50 to the FCC. But understand that's even going to go away. They're not even going to have that option any longer. And one of the arguments that the ARL has made is that almost everything now is done really online, and it has been that way for a long time. So the
cost the cost is minimal for the FCC.
Correct. And they have these VECs, right? The ARL has a VEC, but there's the Anchorage VEC. There's a number of VECs that that are vetting and checking all the data. They're updating this to the ARL. So there's very little interaction that the FCC needs to do with hams. There's very little that they need to mess with the database, because they have to maintain the database anyway for all their commercial licensees. So
Yeah.
so
Jim?
it's all in there.
Yeah,
Hey, Jim.
I did a comment, and then I copied my comment to Dianne Feinstein, Kamala Harris, and I think Garamendi, who's my congressman.
Yeah,
Basically,
great.
I basically said, "Hey, will you guys look into this? You know how much we do during emergencies, and this is not for profit. It's not like it's not like it's something we do and we make money selling commercials. We're here and we do it out of our own pocket."
Hey, Jim, I have a question.
Sure, please.
Yeah, this started actually with Congress, didn't it?
It did.
And
You're right.
FCC is just the middle person who's taking direction from Congress and passing it along.
That's right. Actually, Congress directs the FCC on how they charge for all different kinds of services, and you're right. The FCC then tries to take that direction from Congress and then implement it. Prior to this, the amateur radio service, Part 97, was specifically the FCC was specifically instructed not to charge. The only thing they've really ever told them to charge for was the vanity licensing, and they told them to charge what it costs you. And this was really interesting. So a couple of 3 years ago, vanity licenses, the cost actually went to zero. So it was like $19.23 or some weird number, but it ended up going down to zero. The reason it went down to zero was that the FCC said that the cost of them depositing a check written out for $19.23 was greater than $19.23. So they said, don't bother sending in your checks. You're putting us into bankruptcy here. So
Hilarious.
So that was kind of funny. So you are absolutely right. But that being said, there is some discretion that the FCC has in how they implement this. They could also push back to Congress. They could ask for more direction from Congress and so on and so forth. But you're absolutely right. Another example of that is we're losing, or ostensibly have lost, the 3 gigahertz band. And this has become kind of an important band for people building out backbones for mesh or trying to move data up to mountaintops. Because it works out really, really well, because we can get kind of commercial gear from, say, Ubiquity relatively inexpensively. But it's high quality gear, and we can put it on amateur frequencies and communicate with hilltops or between hilltops and move a lot of data, and that works out really well. Well, that is the White House, the Senate, and the House all believe that is important bandwidth to be utilized for 5G communications in the future. So the FCC, with that direction, voted that hams will need to just vacate that. And Ajit Pai, the current chair of the FCC, said the way he put it was, "We are going to provide amateur radio operators the opportunity to go elsewhere." And so, but that is something that happens.
Now, I just launched a poll And I'm just curious. This is an anonymous poll, so if you go to the bottom of your window, you can hit poll. It'll pop up. And what I'm curious of is how many ARL members, do we have in our club? And like I said, it won't share who you are. We're not here to say yes or no. But Jim, while we have you on the phone, I think it'd be beneficial to just kind of let people know what are some of the advantages of joining ARL, and I can share my perspective and why I signed up a few years ago.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the ARL to me is really a club of clubs. It is that's one thing. It gives us a voice on a national stage to be able to talk to Congress, to be able to talk to the White House, and pitch what we're about and what we can do. It also helps us if we're trying to come up with kind of a cohesive structure as far as emergency communications from coast to coast. It helps us do that and come up with some of those plans. So the ARL is great for lobbying, but it's also great for education. As far as like I've done a lot of MCOM training with the ARL. I've done electronics training in the past with the ARL, and that's pretty awesome. Puts on QST magazine, which I kind of consider vital because it always shows me what my next radio is going to be every month. But the ARL, so it has lots of different fronts. It helps us with our contesting. Puts on field day. It helps us with MCOM, like I mentioned, on a kind of a national level. It helps us, get the word out and become helps our PIOs, which you are one, Jason. So I appreciate that. So the reasons for the ARL are manifold. I couldn't imagine. I think without the ARL, I don't think this hobby would exist today.
Yeah.
Sure.
I really don't. I really do not.
Absolutely. And so I believe everyone can see the results, but it looks like 18 people voted out of 19. So thank you, everyone. And 78% are yes. 78% are ARL members, and 22% are not. And so briefly, I'll just share kind of my path or history in that as a technician, you get lots of letters from the league and they invite you in. And it wasn't until I became a general and I started hearing contests, became contest curious, and going in that direction that I really found a lot of value as well as learning from the ARL. And if you're not familiar, there is 2 different magazines you can get. Of course, QST, but they have a brand new one for beginners. And as a member, you do get both of them digitally for free, but you can only pick one, a hard copy to your door. And then they have several podcasts, which are great for doing chores or, I commute to work. And it is a lot of fun being a part of that. I spent a lot of years in a 4-wheel drive community, and there was something similar for Cal 4-Wheel, which is a state level club. And I think it's important, sure, it's $50, but it's once a year, and it goes towards keeping this hobby alive. And I don't know what else I'd spend my money on if I didn't have ham radio.
I'm a big fan of Cal 4-Wheel too. So
yeah.
So, there you go. So, but absolutely, it's this is a kind of a weird hobby in that it's constructed upon lots and lots of rules and laws, and I mean, I don't think anyone joins up to become an amateur radio operator because they like a lot of rules and laws. But there are a lot of rules and laws that allow us to do what we do, and I think that without kind of a national organization to help us kind of guide us through that and work with the feds on what those rules are, and they've been doing this right from the absolute get-go. The government, originally wanted like every call sign to begin with an N or have an N in it, because they said that'll be unique. Only hams will be N. Only the Navy and hams will use N call signs. Won't that be cool? And I remember the story of the folks back in Newington, Connecticut says, no, we all want to be W's because that's what our local radio station is, and we want to be a W, you know. So, but most of those people were hams even before there were call signs, so that's pretty cool. But no, that's all true. And there are 2 great magazines that come out of Newington each and every month now, and everyone can get the digital edition, which is fantastic. So I encourage that.
Jason, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jim, this is David, KF6, KFQ. Back to the $50 thing.
Yes.
One of the benefits, I like ARRL. I've been a member forever and get lots of value. But one of the things I really like is they do the renewal of licenses. Now, if we go to $50 for renewal, how would ARRL handle that? Or would they expect us to send them a $50 check and then they have to mess with that? That would be a very inconvenient thing for ARRL to deal with.
Oh, it would be an enormous problem. The FCC is moving towards everything electronic. Now they're now insisting that every ham must have a valid email address in their license file. And I gotta tell you that as a VE for a long time now, there are some people that say I don't have that. It's not what I do. You know, most of us do have email addresses, if not too many email addresses. So the point being is that the ARRL or the FCC, not the ARRL, the FCC is moving away from being able to interact with humans whatsoever if they can help it. So I imagine that you would have to pay that $50 electronically, and it won't be a check.
Yeah.
And the ARRL may not be a part of it, may not be, they may remind you like, hey, you better go to the FCC website and do this. So, but how that's exactly going to play out, that hasn't even been discussed.
Yeah, probably
not. The question is whether they're going to charge the $50 for, here's another thing you got to think about too. Some people will take their technician license and then maybe a few months later may go for their general, and then a few years later will go for their extra. That's pretty typical. Some people do it all in one night. That's great. Yeah. But a lot of people do it. So now that's a $150 investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a bummer.
So $50, you go, I can do $50.
Yeah.
It's worth my license, being able to operate as a ham, that's worth $50. I can justify that. But there have been times in my life, I don't know if I could have justified that. If I was a young guy, I don't know if I could do that. That would be kind of hard. But if you're asking me, you need $150 out of me, I'm going, geez, there's other hobbies. That's a new winch line right there.
Yeah, I think it would be real discouraging to the younger hams.
Yeah.
I'm personally worried about my wife, what she's going to say.
Exactly.
Right on. No, and that's true. I think that's why there's been so many letters written on this, is that people are worried about their XYLs. They want to keep doing this hobby and don't want to bring home another bill. So then that's a real valid concern. So I don't have an answer. I don't think the ARRL has that answer yet, and I don't think the FCC really has that completely thought through as of yet.
Well, hopefully they're too busy with 5G right now, so it'll be several more years.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's absolutely true. Just to put it in perspective, so we lost the upper half of the 3 gigahertz earlier this year, towards the beginning of the year, and that was almost immediately auctioned off to T-Mobile, and that went, I think, for $2.6 billion.
Wow.
Really?
$0.6 billion. So we as hams absolutely could have kept, one half of this one band that a few of us use if we just pulled our money together, no problem.
Yeah. Ed, did you have a question? I think you were
GoFundMe. Yeah.
I got a quick question. As far as the emails, addresses, and everything else, I didn't see anywhere where they had a date on that it needed to be in. That you needed to go in and add this information.
It hasn't become part of their. It hasn't been codified yet, so they need to vote on it. But I think that's just going to happen. I think that's in agreement by all the current directors of the FCC. So I think that's just going to happen. But as far as a drop dead date, I don't know that's been listed quite yet. But I think it's going to be a short time. I would not expect that to be a year out. I would expect it to be 6 months.
Another entity killing the post office.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And I should mention too, for those that maybe are not aware, but you can go, log into the ARRL website and you can go in and set yourself up a forwarding email. So in other words, I have an email, which is km6fak@arrl.net. And that's what appears on my QRZ profile. And what happens from there is if someone clicks on my profile, you can grab that email and then it forwards to whatever email I choose. So then my personal email. So it does help you kind of keep some separation where they don't ever see your real email. Again, this is an aside from what we were just talking about. Obviously, the league is looking for your real email, but those that want to use email out there on different public or somewhat public forums, such as QRZ, it's kind of a neat thing because it's like, call sign ARL.net. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, here's another kind of interesting little factoid, I guess, about the FCC. So during this COVID time, they just got brand new offices in DC. They just relocated to a real nice facility. However, all the folks that work for the FCC are working from home, so nobody's seen it really or been there. The second thing is that they haven't really been answering letter mail. They've just been answering emails. There's only one person in their mail room because they're very fearful of COVID. So only one person opens up all the mail that comes to the FCC, which is voluminous, just tons and tons and tons. And it's not being really dealt with. So if you really want something done, send an email and then they'll get around to it. That's kind of interesting. I've read that from several sites.
Brand new office and nobody's home.
Yeah, brand new office and nobody's home, but it's gorgeous.
I guess that's
fabulous.
Always.
Well, I guess this $50 makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
We got to raise some money, see? We got to think of something. How about those hams? Let's get those hams.
Exactly. Exactly. No, so that's that's something we're dealing with. Honestly, and any other questions?
Anything else, anybody?
Yeah, I got one.
All right, let's take one or two more, and then we'll scurry along, if that's okay. Go for it.
What's happening concerning the towers and the or antennas and the local zoning laws and community laws that they have at the various apartment complexes and housing locations that are closed communities?
That is a really good question. Like PRB1, and as we have currently for state and federal government must abide by. But they tried to come up with that plan, which was, oh my goodness, the ARL put an enormous amount of effort behind it. Hams coast to coast wrote so many letters to get that moved forward. There was so many co-signers onto the bill to try to allow that where people live in HOAs where they have CCNRs, which are incredibly restrictive. They weren't able to put up antennas, towers, anything like that. And really the genesis of that, this is kind of what had happened is that some law firm once upon a time, probably in the 70s, came up with some boilerplate language as to what should be in the CCNRs for a new development. So if you wanted to build a development here in California or in Nebraska or in New York or whatever, and you go to the bank and you say, Mr. Bank, Mrs. Bank, I would like to borrow $100 million to build this grand planned community. And they're going to say, well, to make sure that it doesn't look like a bunch of trash, we're going to want some CCNRs. And so they order up this set of CCNRs that included in there says you can't have towers and you can't have antennas and whatnot. And it gets stuck in there. So from the 70s to this date and still going on, people have that boilerplate in there. And so all these master plan communities have these CCNRs, which are very restrictive and not very fair to amateur radio enthusiasts for sure. Then they got around with a little piece of it so that they could put up the little dishes for satellite television, but still no accommodation for amateur radio. So they went to try to fight this and say, this is unjust, this is unfair, you can't really restrict this. This was just dumb boilerplate that was put in there and really wasn't thought out. And it was moving through and it was going to work. And then there was a congressman who was out of Florida who was prior to becoming a congressman, he was a lobbyist for the what was he for the Planned Development Community Board or something. And so he says, I think his name was King, and he says, no, I can't do this. And so he put a lot of pressure on his fellow congressmen to pull back from this, and they did. And the whole thing just kind of disappeared. It didn't even get voted on. Didn't get voted down. In fact, the ARL asked that it be pulled back because it's better to have it pulled back rather than be voted on and lose. That was the thinking.
Jim?
So, yeah.
This is David.
Yes, David.
It passed the House of Representatives 3 times, 3 different sessions, unanimously. But it was in the Senate that it never got out of committee. And I think the guy you're thinking of is Senator Nelson out of Florida, who's not a senator anymore.
Yeah.
He was the chair of the committee, whatever committee that was.
That is exactly right.
And so I was hoping ARRL would take this up again, since that person no longer is a factor, because he was the hang-up, just as you said.
I do believe that it will come up again. But here is one of the hitches, is that one of the key people that was moving this forward was the current president of the board at ARRL headquarters. But really the person who was kind of the big legal mind behind it was Jim Teamstra, who just passed away. So that's going to be a little bit of a setback. But
well, maybe you could relay to ARRL that there's still a lot of interest among hams
there is,
as to whether or not they can do something.
I can tell you one more thing that I believe is absolutely true about it, is that there were kind of problems with it. There were a lot of hams that said, this is kind of an anemic thing that you're doing. It actually gives too much concession to to the homeowners community. Like you need to ask them first before you do anything, and they thought that this is a way that they could put you spin you around for years and years and years before they ever give you an answer. That was one thing that concerned a lot of hams. So one of the things that they're thinking through is there a way that we could do this so that we get a little more juice out of the ultimate law, and instead of what was previously been presented. So
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, certainly with all the natural disasters we've been having, particularly in California, with amateur radio playing a key part, you would hope that they would extend the PBR1 to cover us on these HOAs and CCNRs.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. And I think the ARL, the directors, feel very strongly about that. They absolutely agree with that. They spend a lot of time, a lot of effort. They hired outside legal counsel to help with this, to really try to make that happen. So it was a great disappointment.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It really was.
Okay, thank you.
Did that help at all?
Oh yes, no, that filled in a lot of holes. I thank you very much.
Oh, you betcha. So it's not dead, but it's a little moribund right now. So we need to but it will come back again. There's no doubt about it, because it has to. It's a lot of silliness that it even existed at all. So. Anything?
Frank?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I'm rambling on like, why are no one is paying attention to me? Nobody. So, no, thank you, Jim, very much for everything tonight. Really appreciate you showing up and letting us know about our award and coming out and visiting us on our field days and all that good stuff. And the information tonight was just totally fantastic. It was a really, really great presentation, a lot of fun, and a great meeting. And you made it that. So we really appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming by. We hope to have you by again. You can hang around if you want, Jim. You feel free, but we wanted to, I know you probably got places to go. You probably got to get home. So whatever you'd like to do, that's fine. But we just want to all thank you very much for showing up to the meeting. We really appreciate it.
My honor, my pleasure. No, this is great. You guys are an awesome club and really great group of men and women. No doubt about it. You should be very, very proud of yourselves. You really exemplify what amateur radio, I think, is in my mind. When I think of amateur radio, I think of you guys. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
Very nice.
Jim Siemens, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so now let's do this. One of our members, Don KM6 INR, chimed in and said, and I brought it up earlier. Man, this is usually when we have our Christmas party, right? This is the night that we're usually out, doing something, breaking some bread, that kind of stuff, raffle prizes, that sort of thing. But we can't do it thanks to COVID. But Don KM6 INR came in this evening and said, "Hey, look, man, I've got a video that might be kind of uplifting if I can play it." So is that possible, Jason? Possible for Don to play that?
Yeah. No? Where's the video located? Is it on YouTube?
Well, let's see. I don't think I'm gonna lose you if I click over here. I'm using an iPad. Hold on a second. I got an email. Let's see who got it. I got it. Kevin got it, and Bruce got the email, and from Ed Dunphy, KK6RQD, our member that moved up to Merlin, Oregon, and it was a really nice Christmas video with a lot of ARRL stuff, QSD stuff, ham radio stuff. It was very enjoyable. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, so, could you forward that to me?
Yeah, let me try that.
Just because I don't know if it's going to work on your end unless you're wired to the internet.
I am wired
Yeah.
to the. Well, I'm
Well,
on the.
you're Wi-Fi'd in.
Yeah.
I think he meant.
I think it's going to get a little herky jerky.
He means
Oh.
Cat 5.
I see.
Copper.
Well, let me-
I only deal with copper
Copper.
and cash.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It's,
And which
it's
one?
YouTube. It's YouTube. It's called A Ham's Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
Ah, a Ham's Night Before Christmas. Let's see if we can pull it up. Let's see if the
You betcha.
Ham Radio TV crew can. I know, believe it or not, there's like 6 assistants running around at Jason's studio right now, scrambling to get this video up and running for us.
All his little elves.
Jason looks calm and cool there, but in reality, he's directing quite a team.
Yeah, so let's see here. Does this look familiar? Let me share the screen. Does that look familiar, Don?
Yes.
Okay.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through 2 meters, not a signal was keying up any repeaters. The antennas reached up from the tower quite high to catch the weak signals that bounced from the sky. The children, technicians, took their HTs to bed and dreamed of the day they'd be extras instead. Mom put on her headphones, I plugged in the key, and we tuned 40 meters for that rare ZK3. When the meter was pegged by a signal with power, it smoked a small diode and I swear shook the tower. Mom yanked off her phones and with all she could muster logged a spot of that signal on the DX packet cluster, while I ran to the window and peered up at the sky to see what could generate RF that high. It was way in the distance, but the moon made it gleam. A flying sleigh with an 8-element beam. And a little old driver. It was too far to tell, but he might have been sent by the ARRL. Then I saw it was Santa, the Santa of Hams, on a mission this Christmas to clean up the bands. He circled the tower, then stopped in his track, and he slid down the coax right into the shack. While Mom and I hid behind stacks of CQ, this Santa of Hamming knew just what to do. He cleared off the shack desk of paper and parts and filled out all my late QSLs for a start. He ran copper braid, took a steel rod, and pounded it into the earth till the station was grounded. He tightened loose fittings, resoldered connections, cranked down modulation, installed lightning protection. He neutralized tubes in my linear amp. Never worked right before, now it works like a champ. A new low-pass filter cleaned up the TV. He corrected the settings in my TNC. He repaired the computer that wouldn't compute, and he backed up the hard drive and got it to boot. Then he reached really deep in the bag that he brought, and he pulled out a big box. A new rig, I thought, a new Kenwood, an ICOM, a Yaesu for me, an Elecraft, Tentec, or Flex, could it be? If he thought I'd been bad, it might be QRP. Yes, the ultimate station. How could I deserve this? Could be all those weekends I worked public service. He hooked it all up, and in record time, quickly worked 100 countries, all down on 160. I should have been happy it was my call he sent, but the cards and the postage will cost a month's rent. He made final adjustments and left a card by the key to Gary from Santa Claus, 73. Then he grabbed his HT, looked me straight in the eye, punched a code on the pad, and was gone. No goodbye. I ran back to the station, and the pileup was big, but a card from St. Nick would be worth my new rig. Oh, too late, for his final came over the air. It was copied all over. It was heard everywhere. The ham Santa exclaimed what an old ham expects. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, good DX.
All right. Thank you,
I
Don.
tell you, that was pretty cool.
Thank Ed Dunphy. He sent it out to us, but I thought it'd be perfect for our meeting.
It was. It was, Don. Thanks for sharing that. That's great. Well, there you go.
I like the stacks of QST magazines that they hid behind.
That was good. It put us in the we can't be at our Christmas dinner. It kind of, I don't know, gave us a little element of that sort of kind of.
I will share my screen again here. And some of you may or may not be aware, but the boys on 3916 do a SantaNet, every year they do pre-net check-ins. They have a website, an email, a Facebook, and so that's tailgatorsnet.com. Tailgatorsnet.com. And what they do here is they get you pre-checked in, and they get your information, such as, your name, your call, and then what kind of kids you have in your shack, whether they're your kids, grandkids, their names, their ages, and then they'll slot you in for a time and day. And at that point, you tune down on 3916, and they'll be going through essentially a roll call. And suddenly your child's name will pop up on the radio, and the traffic will then be handled to you, and they'll find a station that is closest to you. So they have a couple operators, for instance, Texas, Arizona, and up in Minnesota. And what happens is they find whoever can hear you the best. And at that point, they hand you over to Santa, and Santa talks to the kids, knowing their names and ages, and asks what they want for Christmas. It's quite fun, very cute for sure.
I got to tell you, that's pretty cool too, man. This meeting has been full of cool things. It's like the cool thing meeting.
Yeah, so I know 80 meters can be challenging. It's quite a long antenna. Personally, mine doesn't stay up, but I get to put it up for events like this.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and just touch base on the only real piece of club business that I can think of, unless any other director or officer can think of anything else. But I wanted to, I'm going to go back to gallery view. I wanted to just bring up to you guys, we talked about this briefly before, and we had sent out an email. But normally we have elections, right? Tonight we would have the new officers and directors, in fact, but because of COVID, everything is cattywampus. Nothing's like it's supposed to be. So what we had decided to do, and we communicated this to the club through at least one meeting, I think, and an email, or in a net perhaps or two, is that we were going to just kick the can down the road till January, and then kind of see where things are at that point. In the meantime, in the interim, just so you know, I do need to confirm this. So if you're an officer or a director, let me put it this way. At the end of the day, more than likely, the existing team of officers and directors will probably wind up being the same officers and directors for 2021. But we do want, because I believe that all of us have said, hey, because of COVID and whatnot, since the elections aren't as normal, if nobody volunteers or if nobody nominates anyone or anything like that, then I believe all of our existing officers and directors have said that, I'll do it another year, no problem. We don't have to go through because of the COVID stuff and whatnot, we can, we'll go another term. Our treasurer has to go another term because he's in it for 2 years. So he's stuck anyway. So what I'm going to ask the club to do is, between now and before, two things: officers and directors, if you don't feel like you would be willing to serve again 2021, if nobody else volunteered or whatever, please let me know in an email. But we also want to let the club know is if you would like to volunteer for a position, or if you would like to nominate someone, do that as promptly as you can, probably within the next 3 weeks. And then, because if we do have some new nominees come in or something like that, then we will do an election, and it will be electronic. We'll wind up doing it where we'll send out a link, and you'll be able to vote basically once, and it'll tally that way. So I hope I'm making sense. So existing, officers and directors, if you're not cool with serving another term, just for the sake of making things easy this year, let me know. And also all club members, if you Again, if you would like to volunteer for a position or if you would like to nominate someone, please let me know within the next few weeks. And you please do not nominate anyone without first asking them if they're okay with it, because we don't want to have people get nominated and then voted in when they're like, I didn't even want this. So we don't want to do that. So I think I got that right. I'll ask I'll ask KB0 Alpha and Doug or anybody else, officers. Did I get that right from what we decided?
After you got it pretty right.
Okay. Pretty right's good enough for this club.
Pretty
Hey,
right.
we want an award, damn it. We live on pretty right. Okay. So, okay. So if that all made sense, that's all I had really for the club as far as club business goes. Not really per se business, but club matters. Before we kind of move along, any questions on that from any club members right now? Okay. And since no questions on that, any other officers or directors have anything that they'd like to bring up before we kind of move into just a general shoot the breeze, rag chew session and close out the meeting?
One thing, I wanted to just throw out to everyone is that if you'd like to see something on an upcoming Tuesday net, please put something together, draft it. You don't necessarily have to be the person that is doing the net, but maybe if you could provide an outline or notes or a website even, and then to where we can encourage other activities during our net. I know it sometimes is challenging to go look for that yourself and then be a net controller. And so I'm just, putting that out there to anyone. If you want to see more, please be a part of that. And that's the idea of kind of shortening our roll call here. Is to possibly have other options. And I'm sure we'll have plenty of nets that are just check-ins at the same time too. But just wanted to throw that out there, that just because you don't have a title does not mean you can't be a big part of the club.
One question.
Is that you, Santa?
Yeah, it's me, Santa. I'm a little bit north of the pole. Just out of curiosity, who's keeping track of who's checking in or who's not checking in? And you said you were going to be truncating the list a little bit for those that are checking in versus those that aren't, in order to put the ones that do check in routinely up front.
Brian, KK6BXP?
Who, me?
Oh, you're muted, Brian.
Okay.
I should be unmuted now.
Yeah, you're good.
Now you are.
Go ahead.
We hear you now.
Okay. So that wonderful spreadsheet that I have sent multiple times out to everybody who gets to do the exciting roll call deal. You just look at your past 3 check-ins on that spreadsheet and see who's called in, who hasn't called in. If there's 3 blank spaces, sorry, you don't get called the 4th time. And of course, then they can come back and check in on a late missed, or I haven't been on the radio for a while at the end of the member part of the check-in for Tuesday Night Net.
Okay, so is that going to be, are you going to modify the roll? Like I pull everything off the current roll this last time for, I think it was November 20th or November 30th off the website. So are you going to rotate that around so it comes up front, or do we have to do it ourselves? Over.
Oops. Get back onto the actual deal. So if you actually, instead of using the that PDF file and actually go to the actual Google Sheets link that I have sent out, it'll load into your display on your screen, or you can print out a copy if you want. And it will sit there and have all the check marks and stuff of everybody who's done the nets in the past. So when I do it, when anybody else who does the pretty much have done the roll calls, I know Bob usually does it off the sheet and goes back in and does a manual punch in and stuff. But it's updated every week, and every time when Brian updates the actual sheet and stuff, I go in there and make the modifications and stuff to the actual deal. So. Oh geez, Jason, when did you actually start doing this? 2017?
Yeah, a few years ago, I thought it'd be fun to have an interactive spreadsheet, and since that, it's just been really growing and turning into something. Possibly what we could do, as you're explaining this, is maybe we could schedule, some evening, weekend where we could grab all of our people doing nets and anyone interested in doing future nets, and you could kind of walk them through how to utilize a spreadsheet for those that are just not overly familiar.
Right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's nothing, no secret sauce on that.
Fact, I pull it up right now.
I don't know if you need to do it now, but I think the basic answer to the question is each net control operator needs to prepare before the net to figure out who's on the 3 strikes list. And so whether you work off the spreadsheet like Brian's saying, or I like working off the paper, but I go through the spreadsheet and I just crossed off the names of the people that were on the 3 strike list and then just do it that way. It was pretty simple. And it only took 10, 15 minutes. But
so Bob, are you saying to do your
has to do that?
Bob, are you saying to do your homework before you get to school? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Actually, prepare ahead of the net.
Okay, now a question I have is where do I find this interactive roll call? Because maybe I missed something on my email, but I have been looking for something like this, and I guess I'm just behind the 8 ball. I just haven't found it. So
quick.
Yeah, you got to have Google Drive. You have to have a Google account and then Google Drive.
Okay, I don't have I don't have a Google account and I don't have Google Drive, so that's going to automatically mean that I'm not going to get it.
And you've got some wild email address for me in there, Brian, for me, but that's okay.
Do you?
You don't have to worry about me right now.
Or do you have
that's an old one. That's from when I haven't updated it. Obviously, I just keep throwing in people's names.
I don't even remember
volunteers.
having that email address. That's crazy.
don't know where that one fell.
Hillbilly info.
Or do you have a Gmail account with Google? Have you ever signed up for a Gmail?
I have one through the school district, but I don't ever use it other than school district business.
Okay. Well, it's pretty straightforward. You just get onto Google, set up an email, and you could even just create your call at Gmail. And that could be a specific kind of ham radio inbox for you, too.
Yep. Okay. In fact, that's what it is. It's actually my call sign at gmail.com. And as Jason referenced it to where you link that account to your ARRL account, it automatically forwards the emails that goes to your ARRL.net email to your, for me, my actual KK6BXP@gmail.com account.
Boy, I'd be tied up in wires and my hands are going to be looking like this and little knots trying to get everything all together.
Bigger screen.
I am computer, I won't say illiterate, but when it gets into the fancy stuff, I'm not quite there yet.
It's a very basic spreadsheet. I mean, you don't even have to worry about formulas. It's already in there. All you got to do is just put an X in the this individual cell.
X and then enter. We'll drop you down to the next one.
Yep. So I'm going to fictitiously enter you in for the 15th by pressing X and then pressing enter.
Okay, got it.
See, you're there.
So this spreadsheet is on the Google Drive?
It is on a Google Drive, Google Sheets. Once you get yourself set up with a Gmail account, which will tie you into this, specifically with your email address, which is what I would recommend doing, so you can dump all of your ham radio stuff related to this particular account. And then you'll be able to. I can send you the actual link so that you could access this here.
No, I can do that. I can go into the Google and set up an account.
So if you notice, I just popped up the screen right here, widen it up here. In the highlighted area, you'll notice that normally you don't see that, but it has basically what license class, if they have System Fusion, if they're a volunteer examiner already, and how many times year to date they've already checked in for accounts. And then obviously where it says net control, that's the lucky volunteer who gets to help out doing the weekly nets.
Brian?
Yeah.
What I thought I was going to do until I saw this total thing, I don't want to mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought I was going to do is I would, in preparing for a net control, I would go through the sheet and to make it smooth for me to do roll call.
Mm-hmm.
And everywhere that I see the 3 strikes, just put a maybe a red S on there, and then that way I'll skip those, but I can see it while I'm doing the roll call.
Yeah, you can do that.
Is that going to screw up the totals?
It technically it would. I'd have to go and modify the formula to ignore, like say the letter S, or you could put like the number 0 in, and I could have that count, be not counted.
Oh, number 0. That's a good idea. I'll put a 0 in there, and when as I'm preparing, and that way, anywhere there's not a 0, I'll be calling them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, because I know that you basically see that. That's the Google Sheets on an iPad.
Right.
In black mode, dark mode as they call it. But yeah, that's basically what you see right there. So you just scroll all the way over here. Get over to the next county here. So yeah, there's the last 3 columns for the remaining part of the year.
Right. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And then I'll prepare it before. Now, the only other thing on that Google Sheets thing that's a little bit of an issue for me is down on the bottom with all the visitors. That thing is kind of messy and sort. It'd be nice to have that somehow sorted, because when they call, you got to find them really quickly. What I end up doing is I write it down, and then after the net's over, I fill it out.
And yeah, because I kind of did the same thing. What I do is I use the audio recording feature on the computer, and I just record that last section of audio so I can actually just go back there and get it. So if there's doubled up stuff or someone's rattling it off there at machine gun fast, I can just review the recording and stuff and enter it in here. But yeah, no, it has, this kind of has been a hodgepodge. It was originally to say, hey, thank you for checking in and sending out postcards and stuff. So if we're still doing that, not doing it.
I was just thinking if there's a way to sort it. I'm not good at using Google Sheets. I can do Excel pretty good, but Google Sheets I'm not experienced. If the way is of sorting that visitor section in order, we can find them more quickly when they give their call sign. That's my point.
Yeah, probably basically have to base it off by how many times people actually check in.
Okay.
On the actual, and we could put the people who check in more often into the upper section, or the lower section would have the people who usually don't check in. And we need to get those people motivated to actually be part of the club.
Yeah, I agree.
Bob, are you sending anything out now?
You're asking me if I'm sending?
Yeah, I used to send out QSL cards to the visitors.
Oh, no, we stopped that years ago.
It's been years?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's we did that. I think when I first joined, we had like 30 members in the club, and probably did that for about 2 years.
Well, how are we going to break 100 if we don't do that?
we started racking up more members through the net and through the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yeah, we're at 88 members right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, pressure's on Jason then.
All right,
I think when I stopped doing that, we probably grew by another 50 members.
Yep. Well, I think what you said with bringing over the 2 meter crew and allowing them to do that deal, and of course, if there's other groups and stuff that are out there, welcome them to use the repeater. Just basically just get everything coordinated. Say this night's this night's this. But I'm definitely open to have more people being interactive on the repeater. I see we're definitely becoming an Echo link in IRLP link and hub for a lot of people. I notice in the morning now.
And international.
Yep.
Big thanks to Mike there, WG5EK.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a good job.
All right.
Let's
see here. I'll raise my hand here. All right. Has anybody
stop sharing your screen now?
Okay, I'll stop sharing the screen here.
Yeah.
Stop share. So, that beautiful, expensive metal box that's over at Kevin's house. If I was actually successful to have a QSO with Don from his house on his handheld to me who was actually over in Martinez, trapped inside a storage unit complex, which means it's got a lot of metal there to reflect the signal. We actually had a QSO on the Fusion repeater.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was my first time. I had my HT connected to my antenna on the roof, though, I will say that. But I tried that in the past and couldn't do it. But now, with the way you've revised the antenna, I was able to have a nice QSO with Brian. And I've noticed I've been around with my, I hook my HT to my mag mount on my wife's Navigator and drive around town, and I'm able to pick up the Fusion repeater also, but nobody's on it. As a matter of fact, our repeater's been relatively quiet on both repeaters.
I'll be jumping on that pretty soon. I missed the email that came out last month from Brian. I found it, Brian, by the way.
Okay, sweet.
And I'll be programming that, over the next day or so. At least probably on Saturday, I'll get that programmed in, and I'll be checking on it all the time. So I'll be there. Now that I know that.
I updated the website so it has the right information for the repeater.
All right. I'm going to actually share screen again here in a moment. I need to scroll down to find something here in the owner's manual.
Well, I'm monitoring on the way home, so.
All right. Here we go. Share screen. Share the PDF file. All right. As you guys can see here, I've got page 8 for the handheld Yaesu, and there's that nice little button. It has the letter X on it. The FT3 has the same thing. You get dialed into the repeater. You hit that button right there, and it's going to have the blinky X next to the frequency on the top VFO. And once it actually connects, it'll make a dee-dee-dee sound. It'll have the X there solid. And then your bottom VFO will disappear, and it's actually going to pop up with some text boxes. And that means you're now actually hooked up, and you can now basically go through and look for a room. You can either do a direct code punch, or you can go in there and do the dig through the menus and find, hey, I want to talk to this one here. Kind of like with DMR, this is where you guys start writing down those room numbers for punch and access. You can save the information so you can go back in and access it at a later time. And as long as you're in a good signal path to the repeater, you can connect to any other Fusion device around the world or directly to a person. Whereas some people have been, that would be Don, who's actually been talking to Ed up there in Merlin, by hooking the actual radio up to, I'm going to stop share here. He's been do my handhelds here. He's plugging the radio into the computer. You press a key sequence, and that'll let you go in through the radio to the computer, internet to the other person at the other end. So you now have a point-to-point, like a telephone call conversation. Now, instead of actually having to go through and plug into the computer and have an internet access, you basically are going to do like you're going to talk to the repeater. Once you get in and you select the thing is, when the information, the audio is coming back from the other point on that room, it is a party line. So everybody who's on that frequency, who's in the digital mode, because it only works, it's set up to only do digital. So there's no analog audio being passed through on that. I do that for a reason. Basically, it's not having to fight with bandwidth and not having to fight with all these methods of trying to hook stuff up. I'm trying to push the digital aspect. That's the kind of reason why we got we got this particular radio here, because we have all the analog echo link on the main frequency. So boom, you're in. You can have conversations. Just remember though, anybody who's in earshot, radio earshot of the repeater that has that Fusion radio, it is a party line conversation. And that's it for the Fusion repeater. If you have questions, shoot them my direction.
So I'll do a quick demo here. So this is the Yaesu 991A. I live in Vacaville. And there's the frequency. I pull up the frequency. And if you see the top left corner, it has C4 FM. So that will then allow me to just simply push this Wires X button right here.
Do it, do it, do it.
And then it transmits a few times, and it connects. And so now I'm in Fairfield. And from there, I can look at my favorites. Oh, I guess I don't have any. Oh, I reset the radio.
Did you just do the update?
Yeah, I did an update. And then here I'm going out into the Fusion world, if you will.
Yep. So it's actually receiving the actual list of locations that you can go to. It's usually going to have the America link, which is the biggest link. Oh, geez, this window getting cranky again.
I have a good... Oh, it's not taking it for some reason.
I'm going to hit mute here. There we go.
And so you can see
Erica
a couple...
Ragchew.
Yeah, there's only 2 people in there.
Yep.
So this all starts by pushing that X button.
Yep. Get on the X.
Yeah, and so obviously this is Yaesu flavored radios, but I'm here in Vacaville. I'm over here by Leisure Town, Elmira and Leisure Town.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but the all function is not working like it normally does. So this is
grab my HT real quick. Be right
this
back.
is a bad live shot, but I am successfully connected to the repeater and just wanted to show that out. You get a decent antenna on your roof. You hopefully should be able to hit it because the antenna out there in Fairfield is pretty nice for sure.
So Jason, just so I understand here, so you're actually, this is your radio we're looking at.
That's correct.
So at this point, if you wanted to enter into that room, that Ragchew room, you would simply have clicked on that button. And do you click on the America Ragchew button there or?
Yeah, so I'm actually in there right now.
Oh, but nobody's talking right now, or are they? We just can't hear them.
No one is talking. We would hear them.
Okay. So, but you're accessing this through the repeater itself. You're not. This isn't plugged into your internet right now, right? You're accessing this.
That is correct.
So you could actually talk into that room from your computer. I mean, sorry, from your radio through the repeater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no other fancy equipment except Yaesu radios and antennas and RF.
Got it. So now those guys who are in the American Ragchew room, they could be on radios as well, or they could be using the handheld through the computer.
Oh yeah, all of the above. There's 5 different ways
to get in there.
Yeah.
So the connected right now, that says you're connected to W6VVR and KJ6DLF.
Was that you, Brian?
Done.
Someone else just steered the repeater.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh.
So
I'm trying to access.
I just jumped on the.
Let me kick out.
Into the.
There we go.
Repeater.
I'm locked out.
This is really slick. I'm really looking forward to getting in this.
Now,
but the one important button I do want to point out, which is on this particular radio here, that one, the disconnect. Make sure when you are done doing your QSO on that deal is to actually disconnect, because if you were just to basically shut off your radio, you left a repeater hooked up to the actual that room. I mean, unless there's a massive QSO going on with everybody that's on our end.
Now, Brian, can you steer the repeater into the American Link room?
Yeah, let me try here. Wake up.
And so what we're talking about here is the repeater has the ability to jump in all these, let's call them chat rooms, these virtual rooms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. KK6RQD is in the house.
Yep.
He must be watching.
Yeah, well, let's thank him. Thank you, Ed, if you're listening, for the Christmas video.
And so only one person can control where the repeater goes as far as these virtual chat rooms.
There was Ed.
Oh, is he on the radio?
Now look at there. It's got right over on the right-hand side. It actually tells you the distance, how far away he is.
Go ahead, Ed. Come through the radio. Are you out there, Ed? KM6 FAK.
KM6FAK from KK6R2D. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Ed. Are you watching us by chance?
I most certainly am.
Well, great to have you. Yeah, we just kind of decided to do a quick little demo as the repeater has been up and running, and right now it's at a lower elevation. We hope to get it higher soon, but it is working quite good.
Yeah, I thought that I'd jump in there and say hi. Yeah, I've had Fusion up here for a long time, so I'm glad to see that I can talk to you. This is great. Over.
Yeah, it sure is. And what is your method of jumping on? Right now I'm using a Yaesu FT991A and just RF over to our newer Yaesu repeater, which is sitting on the internet.
Well, that's great. I didn't know you had a repeater up there. I'll try to hit that. I'm using an FTM 400 XDR in direct mode, obviously. And it's got an antenna on it, too, for local stuff, so go ahead.
Well, all right. Does anyone else want to talk to Ed? Here, should we wish Ed a Merry Christmas? On the count of three, everyone say Merry Christmas, Ed. 1, 2, 3.
Merry Christmas, Ed.
From the Back of Alley Radio Club.
Merry Christmas, Ed.
Yep.
We don't follow instructions well.
Merry Christmas, Ed.
Thanks again for the video, Ed, if you could hear me. This is Don, KM6INR.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, that was a good pile-up.
Thank you.
Well, very cool. I'm going to stop hogging the screen here, but I just figured we'd jump into a little bit of a demo there.
That
was good.
I'm glad we did. Looking forward to more. This is exciting. I'm really excited to get the frequency switched over in my radio and start joining you guys.
Roger, KK6RTD on the side.
All right.
Awesome.
And you can, on that repeater, you can work both analog or digital.
Right.
When I went on initially, I was talking to Brian on analog, and then I switched it over to digital. We were able to communicate digitally.
Great. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to gallery view here. Okay, good. Well, anything else from anyone? Otherwise, we can say, this is like the end of the meeting, but if you want to stick around and rag chew, feel free to stick around and rag chew. How's that sound, everyone?
Yep. I actually got to get back to work.
There you go.
I'm gonna go driving by Art's house, Miller, at about 100 miles per hour with this 8,000-pound trailer. Art's like going, yeah, right. So with that being said, I'm gonna get on the road so I can finish up. You guys have a great evening, and I will definitely see you guys.
Have a good holiday.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here too, guys. Always a pleasure. Congrats to the club on everything, and hey guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
All right,
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
everybody from N16.
Take care.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas from Art up in Berryessa.
And if you're good, I'll bring you a present.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Art, good to see you tonight, Art. Glad to see you're doing better.
Oh, yeah. Christmas time is always a hard time of year, you know. You have to get up early, stay up late, and then the reindeers really get you going when they want more alfalfa and you don't have it. You know, you got to get the gas going to get ready. So